They got to be looking for depth then.
Yeah, Ingram Dawkins would be, a guy they drafted last year. Is he good enough to start? I know he was a real young draft pick. But yeah, at some point you're gonna be like, someone's gotta line up there.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have some of these former draft picks pay off. That haven't had the opportunity to do so yet. Some of the other things. Well, I guess we can talk quickly about the one pickup they did get. Vikings did sign punter Johnny Hekker, formerly of the Titans, and I think drafted 10 years ago by the Rams. He spent, or longer than that, he spent 10 years with the Rams, and his averages I was looking at aren't they're not as good as Ryan Wright's for sure, but and this guy's certainly a bit older. But how do you think the Vikings did their signing Johnny Hekker?
Well, they drew a line on what they want, what they wanted to spend for a punter, and Ryan Wright got more than that from New Orleans. What I like what they got because I'm sure that he had to come in and do a workout and they have to trust that he's still young enough to do it. And I'm sure what I like about it is that it's a 1 year deal. He's probably I think the guarantee for Wright was $8 million and 3.5 a year. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it all adds up. That sounds like a lot to us, but not to the NFL. But that adds up, and you got to piece that all together. So here you get a guy for 1 year. He's in his 15th season. He's punted and held in 2 Super Bowls. One they won. So you're talking about a calm hand to who's going to step into the field goal operation, which is nice. You're not having to teach Johnny Hekker how to hold, or Johnny Hekker, hey, the situation is XYZ, you got to do blah blah blah. So yeah, I like Johnny Hekker as bringing in just a calm, cool older guy, and if it's one of those, if he has lost it, then punters are always being cycled through somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. You make a good point about having a calm older guy in there. I mean, now granted, Will Reichert has been great, but he's still a young guy, and certainly things can happen. So it's nice to have a calm hand on the control. There was news online that Ty Chandler, the Saints are trying to sign him. He's a depth running back for us. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, the Vikings did sign Xavier Scott, so they have their third running back. But I guess my thought was, the more the merrier, because what do they say? If you have 4 quarterbacks, you don't have any. If you got 4 running backs, do you not have any? I mean, we're not overwhelmed with the quarterback room, but what are your thoughts on this news?
Well, I think when they signed Scott, that tipped their hand that it was either Scott or Chandler. I would feel. So I like the fact that if you give Chandler some money, granted, it wouldn't have been a lot of money, but say you give Chandler money, New Orleans is in a different situation. Kamara's probably on his way out, so they're looking at him differently as having maybe a bigger role. That's also maybe plays a role for Ty Chandler to want to go there.